Okay. So welcome everyone. This is Marketing Your Pharmacy for Sale. This is our monthly webinar. We do one every month here at Independent RX on a variety of topics. And this week it's selling your pharmacy and how to market that. I'm Owen Bondurant. I'm a partner at Independent RX. I'm also a partner with Tim, who's also on this webinar. In a couple pharmacies. We have a compounding and a long-term care pharmacy, and Tim has sold his own pharmacies before. Independent RX, if you don't know, is a consulting firm and accounting firm. We help people start and buy pharmacies. We help people sell pharmacies, and then we provide accounting and tax work for a couple hundred pharmacies as well. Tim, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Owen. Hopefully you guys are having a good day out there. Here in Ohio, it's hot as heck.
So hot.
Yeah, wow. I'm a third generation pharmacist. I've owned about 30 stores with Owen and his family, and currently, as he says, we're partners with in this consulting company where we do help people buy, sell, starts, and help them operate their pharmacies, do things a little bit differently. On our accounting side, we kind of help people put things together, which includes your pharmacy information and data analytics, which all those things kind of happen because we've operated pharmacies and we still operate pharmacies. So what we try to do is help people who don't have the resources to accumulate such a great team to give you guys some insights into what's going on. Typically, my role is to help people when they're in the sell side of things, and as they're in the sell side, they're at different stages in their life. They're basically, we call it a transition phase. Lots of them continue to work or do something else, and then some are at the retirement age. So each person who comes to us has a little bit different objectives, but it's kind of the same. We're looking at trying to figure out a way for you to get a smooth transition from your business into doing what you want to do next. And that leads us to these monthly webinars where we try to give you a little nugget to help you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And this should be a good one. We are recording this, so if you miss a piece or have to drop off, we'll record it and get it out here in the next couple of days via email on our website and on social media. There's also a Q&A at the bottom of your screen, so if you have questions, please drop them in there. We'll try to answer them as we go or at the end of the webinar. Kind of where this topic came about, marketing your sale for pharmacy, is we get people who are doing leads and or become a client and we're helping them sell. And one of the questions is well, how are you going to find a buyer? Like who buys pharmacies? And we're like, oh, that might be a good topic since so many people are asking it. And in our head, there's kind of three pieces to finding a buyer. The first being, how do you present a business that attracts a buyer? And once you've gotten your business in a position to attract a buyer, then there's the actual marketing to buyers and finding the buyer. And then the last piece of it is keeping all this as confidential as you can, because it's extremely important that the community and your employees don't find out. So we're going to touch a little bit on each one, and I think we're going to start with the first one, which is presenting your business so we can attract buyers. And we thought we would just share a marketing book with you and take you through the elements of our marketing book, which also happen to check on the pieces that the buyer is looking at and what attracts you. Anything to add to that, Tim?
Well, the thing we like to explain about why do we go to the trouble of putting together a nice sell booklet for a pharmacy. Typically, as we also help people buy a pharmacy, we found that it's sometimes like pulling teeth, actually getting enough the basic information of the pharmacy that we're looking at. So as we have put this together, it's really, if we were going to buy this pharmacy, let's say Owen and I, what would we want to know? So me and our team work with the seller to get that information and then put it into, again, a readable format so we can, again, give them a high level look at the business. And that sometimes leads to letters of intent. And if it doesn't, it leads to some questions. And a lot of people are really, I guess, appreciative that they didn't have to send like 10 emails back and forth to get the information that we're providing in this info memorandum. And for me, every pharmacy has a different story, and this kind of helps me tell the story of the person I'm trying to help.
Yeah. And to be clear, this is not what you just send out to the world. You know,
No, we don't just send this out to everybody. We're like we don't even give anybody that, other than, let's say we're doing 50,000 prescriptions and $3 million and it's located in Ohio. We don't give a lot of information on the front side before we talk to someone, because we think our biggest job is first to keep the transaction private. And also, when they're, I guess I'm kind of the gatekeeper, where I talk to everybody to figure out who is this guy who wants to possibly buy your pharmacy. And I can, figure out what are the things that make this guy a good person to actually be a purchaser. Has he even saved, or have they even saved any money to do this? What's their purchasing look like? Do they have experience? Do they have a bank? Which you can't just get if you say, hey, this is the store for sale. So while we'll provide, some basic information, we try not to give everything without knowing who the heck we're talking to.
yeah, so this will go to someone after they've signed a non-disclosure, but like anything else, I think when you're presenting your business, where you can see here, this is a nice presentation right out of the gate. And, you're trying to attract someone who wants to pay for your business. So just like real estate, this information memorandum is kind of like a real estate listing, right? Where it has the information that a potential buyer needs to know, okay, am I interested in pursuing this? And you're trying to present it in a light that will attract as many buyers as possible. So in ours, I mean, we always have a cover sheet with just the name of the pharmacy and, the date. And then obviously there's a confidentiality and a disclaimer in here, so that reiterating the non-disclosure and everything. And then a table of contents, but then we just kind of give them an overview, right? People want to know where it is, what lines of business are you? So, and I just want to be clear, this is a sample. So it is not a real store. It's pieces of many stores. But people want to know what your lines of business are, what markets are you serving. So in some cases, pharmacies are shipping to multiple states. We want to let people know that. In other cases, they're sticking to their local community, right? One's not better than the other, but people then know what they're getting and what this business is about. And so we're just trying to give them, hours of operation. What wholesaler are they working with? What pharmacy system do they have? It's the basic information a buyer needs to know. Anything to add to that, Tim?
Well, again, like as you're looking at who you're going to acquire, like you'll see on here, we put your wholesaler in this example as Cardinal. That may be important to someone buying in terms of, let's say they have already got a relationship with a wholesaler, and that wholesaler is maybe so that they're going to give us some, financing or some help, or that they get some purchasing advantage by doing the deal. PSAOs right now are kind of important because each one has a different strategy. Some are definitely wholesale centric, and then, as you know, we've got some that are more pharmacy centric, in my opinion. So, not that when you buy something you can't change, like as you read this stuff, it's lets you know, oh, okay, well, that's what they do, and it has some similarities to me or not. Like, let's say you buy a store and you're comfortable with, let's say, ordering from Cardinal. Um, it's not going to, let's say, make you buy the store, but it's definitely information that lets you get comfortable with a possible transaction.
Yeah. And that's the purpose of this, is to give them an overview. And then to
Yeah.
continue that, we're trying to then give a description of the business. So in here, we're giving them the real basics, that it's been around since 1972. It fills 110. Last year it did 105, and it's grown to 110. Sales are going up. That this pharmacy has a USP 800 certified lab, and it's a fairly new one. So in this here, we're trying to give them the overview and then give them the highlights of this business, so that someone who steps into this goes, oh, wow, okay, this is in this area. It's on Cardinal. It's got Pioneer. It's got a USB 800 lab, and it fills a lot of prescriptions. Right. So now we've gotten them intrigued to go further.
Yeah.
We typically meet with each seller and understand, if they were going to keep this for 10 more years, what opportunities do they see for growth? I can't tell you how often when we speak to a seller that they'll be like, well, the nursing home down the street, has 100 beds, and they've been asking me to, service them, but we'd have to buy med carts and add EMARs and do all these different things. Well, that's a great piece of information to put out there to a buyer. Because, if you've been operating a business for 30 years, it can be, do you really want to go through all that? But a new buyer will want to go through all of that.
Yeah, I think that helps someone, make at least starts to fertilize that ideas. That we're throwing some. This is what we got. This is our potential, and just again to be cautious, that you understand, like, you can't sell potential, but you can sell your business that has potential. So there's a little bit of a difference on that.
Yeah,
Structure.
Yeah, you and I always like to compare selling a pharmacy to real estate. It's like, the realtors are always, when you're in a house, they're going, can you see your family in this? And your kids playing on the floor here. And I mean, it's all potential, right? It's not, they may not even use that room like that, but it's all to try to get the buyer excited and start envisioning themselves in the pharmacy and what they can do with it.
No, exactly. Let's see this slide. We're talking about, how do we want to sell the business? A lot of times you've got your asset purchase agreement set up, like where we're really just buying the prescription files, we're buying the inventory, and the rest just comes with us, unless there's other things that we tell them at the beginning that are going to be carve outs. Like, let's say you've got a delivery car, which happens to be, your Lexus RX. I mean, that may not go into the cell. It may be a carve out. We try to as we get into the structure, try to make it simple. Sometimes there's stock sales, depending upon, where they're located, or what the state boards and the let's say the DEA have different rules for some areas. But we try to, at least when we have the ability, we try to tell them what our preference is.
Yeah, I think it's important to get a price out there. We do spend, I mean, Tim, you guys have a whole process for valuing the pharmacy. And we gather a lot of information that we'll show you here prior to support these asking prices. And the buyers, they appreciate this, because then they know what kind of spend are they looking at, and what is the seller expecting? It's again a little bit like a house price. Like it's nice to know, okay, what is this thing? What are the sellers expecting? Um, so then obviously, then we start getting into the actual data. Um, so we'll work with the sellers to pull prescription information. Um, and we like to break it down into their different lines of business. Uh, and so you can see here, we show you trending, how many scripts, we break it down by generic brand, if they're doing compounding or if they're doing long-term care or 340B or whatever they may be doing. We try to show that. So again, that the buyer knows what they're getting. Um, these compound scripts are more valuable than the brand scripts, as we all know. And so uh, the more that we can show the valuable pieces, the more people are going to want the business.
Right, and as you can tell there, we're trying to get more than just this year. We're trying to give them a historical glance at the information so they can see if what are the ebbs and flows of the business. Like, as you can see, the average of this pharmacy, we've got the weekly average. When you're looking at selling to most people, a lot of people have a misunderstanding of, let's say, how many prescriptions I do a day, and they calculate it based upon the 5.5 days that they're open, and not on a 7-day week. But you basically have to look at your business. It's a weekly snapshot, and when you're looking at comparing apples to apples, we need something that's comparable, because I think most of you guys know, if I go look at June of 2023 is not going to have the same kind of setup as June of 2024. Like, every year and month do not correlate as comparables because of the swing in holidays, the swing in Sundays or days off. So what we try to do is to make it as simple as possible for someone to know this is what the business is. We're typically trying to show that the business is solid, so that when they look at it, that they're saying, oh, well, this is it. And if it's not solid, if there's something that we think that needs to be improved, it gives us the ability to explain, let's say, why we were down 20,000 prescriptions. Okay, maybe we lost, or maybe we stopped doing, let's say, brand name drugs. Lots of you are picking and choosing which brands you're going to fill based upon reimbursements. So, for you and I, we could think, okay, that decreases value, but it also, as you know, increases value because now my per script numbers and margins are better. And all those things really do affect operational expenses. I mean, it's, whether it's buying a label or employing techs and pharmacists to fill the prescription, they're all important for us to kind of get into. Again, all this is to try to help tell your story.
So we like to show in a few different ways. Like, here's the quarterly script count over that period, showing you the trending of this. Because going back to what you just said, Tim, a lot of people are thinking, okay, how does this do weekly? So we're trying to show you, hey, this business is really growing in this case. Same with revenue, right? So the one previous was actual scripts count. This is actual revenue. That's two different ways to look at it. Showing you things like the top drugs. So this is the top drugs by scripts, right? So it's showing who is the top. I'm sorry, this is top scripts by revenue. So this is showing you what their top generic revenue was. So this allows a buyer to look at what is your mix. You can see in this case, there's a lot of really common drugs in here. And it gives the buyer a feel for what they're getting again.
Yeah, and usually this, like, we'll highlight things like if you're doing, let's say, HIV, or you got a strong diabetic presence, or maybe you're doing travel vaccines or something. That's where these things can really help someone who's looking at it understand what I'm telling them.
Yeah. And like in this case, here's the brands by revenue, and you can see Ozempic, Ozempic, Ozempic. A buyer may go, oh, well, you don't make money on those. I'm going to eliminate that, and um, it'll actually increase my gross profit, and we have to do less work. But it starts getting them a feel for what you have in here.
Yep.
Same with prescribers. Again, you can see we're not naming doctors, but we're showing, okay, their top doctor is 17.2% of their business, which actually overall in many cases is not very much. This is fairly spread out. But buyers always want to know, is there one doctor making up all the business? And in some cases, in rural areas, that might be fine. But in other areas, that could be a concentration risk. So, trying to allow them to know what they're getting, because they're going to ask at one point anyways. So, getting this out front when they make an offer, your offer is a solid one based on factual information.
And I think that's again for the purpose of what I tell our clients is like we need to do the work up front. It's going to save us time later.
Yeah, agree.
So it takes us a little bit longer to accumulate some of this data, but too often, I feel like people bring their business to sell when it's not prepared to sell. And I feel like the reason I wouldn't do that is you're going to undervalue your store because you just don't know enough information. You would hate for someone looking at your business tell you something about your business that you should know. That doesn't give you a lot of confidence in a transaction with somebody. So what we try to do is look and know what you do so that we can again have good conversations at the beginning with these people.
Top payers. Again, everyone wants to know who you're billing insurance to. So you can say in this one, it was pretty concentrated in one payer. Top patients, is there one patient making up all the revenue or profit? So then once we get through the script data, we start getting into the financial data. And in this case, you will have to share at one point your P&Ls and tax returns, but we're just trying to give them a snapshot of here's how much money the company makes and how we got to that, right? So we're not breaking down revenue or cost of goods and breaking everything out, but we're showing, okay, here's the revenue, here's the gross profit, here's the operating income. Now, in this case, they have a lot of other income. So down here, we had to add that back because it's expenses that a new buyer would not carry on. So going back to what Tim said about the Lexus, right? If there's an Lexus payment on here and it's not coming with the sale, we need to add that back. And we want to be very clear with the buyers as to what's not carrying forward, so that they can come up with what they're going to make from the business, and make an offer based on the EBITDA profit of the business. So you can see in here we had, the admin pay was actually a family member that's not going to stay. There was additional owner benefits that the new buyer would not carry on. The owner had some life insurance, and then there was excess owner's comp. So in this case, the owner's working as a pharmacist, but paying themselves, instead of paying themselves 130, they're paying themselves, 163 or 200,000. So a new owner could either put a pharmacist in at 130 or could go work themselves for 130 and take home that additional profit. But giving them income statement, same with the balance sheet. Everyone needs to see the balance sheet so that they can see, does the income statement match with the balance sheet? And I guess this is and we say this in every single call that I think we have, both with start by accounting and sell. But this is where you want to make sure you have good financial information. We all do tax moves, we move money around, we do all kinds of things, but having financials that people can understand and that you have explanations for is extremely important, because if the buyer doesn't understand the financial statements, they begin to lose trust in the business. And so it's very important that you work with us or with your accountant or whoever you're working with to make sure you have information that both you understand and a buyer can understand. Anything to add to that, Tim?
No, that's again, it's I'll say it's not fun, but it's imperative that we let them see what we actually make. Um, and what our assets are. Our inventory obviously is very important. If you're a cash basis, you're probably not putting your accounts receivable on there. I mean, so that the information that we show them, again, it helps them explain, okay, how does the current operator run their business?
Yep.
And sometimes the tougher things are, like you said, is like, we do as owners, maybe, let's say, pay ourselves too much or not enough, put benefits through there that we wouldn't give somebody else. But at the end of the day, all those things really are added back, and it is easy to kind of give you a picture of what really does this business work. And it's important because, still so many pharmacies are purchased by individuals who are going to go to a bank and buy it.
Yep, for sure. When someone buys your business, and actually this holds true for a chain or an individual, they want to understand your staff. I mean, a lot of what they're buying is the current processes. Your employees know the patients, they have relationships with the patients, they do the day-to-day work. So knowing what they have and how you staff it is extremely important. And then also they need to understand, is it understaffed, overstaffed? Are they going to have to make changes there? So try to give them a basic overview of, here's who works there, right? And how I staff. Right. And we actually try to break that down even further, and give them an idea of, okay, what's their hour rate? How many average hours are they working? How much is the store open? So that the buyer again understands, what they have. And then also, if they have a conversation with you, the seller, can go, okay, which one of these people is the important, tell me about these people and what your thoughts are on them. Because
everyone's going to want to look at, your personnel, who's going to stay, who's overpaid, who's underpaid, who's a certified tech, who's not. How many do I, typically most owners we look at, one of our selling advantages, at least in terms of how most of you operate your business, are going to be that you're probably overstaffed because we want to have better service. We're not going to go have a pharmacist in there filling 100 prescriptions and waiting on everybody. That's not what we do. But at least, again, the guy coming in, he may change it, but at least now he knows, oh, this is what I got. And several times we get into more detail on personnel. They'll ask for payroll reports. They'll look at schedules. They'll go to the things, like I said, look to figure out how many are certified or not certified. And what, the technician is in terms of the legality of what they can do. Lots of states have increased their role of technicians and what they can do. So all those things can make operating a pharmacy easier.
Everyone needs to know about the real estate. So a few things that are in here. I mean, for a retail pharmacy, that the location is extremely important, especially one that's been, in this case, they've been there forever. So you want to keep that location. So knowing how long is the current lease, is there options? Is the landlord easy to work with? And do you think they'll switch it over to me? And can we do an addendum or assign the lease? Um, Sometimes you own the building and they need to know, are you willing to sell it? Are you wanting to lease it? And if you are going to lease it, how much is that going to be? What are you listing the building at? Um, if the buyer is getting an SBA loan, the lease needs to be locked in for the same amount of time as the length of the loan. So if it's a 10-year loan, there needs to be a 10 years worth of options to match up with that loan. So it might be a 5-year lease with 5-year option to renew to equal 10 years. So in here, we want to provide some information to the buyer so that they understand what the situation is at the property. And we put some pictures, in this case we only put two, but a lot of times similar to a house, you'll take pictures of the inside and the um, and just give people a good understanding of what it looks like. Um, and especially if you have a very nice pharmacy that you've redone and it looks really nice, like you should showcase that because again, people can picture themselves working in that pharmacy. Transition. And here we want to flag something up. So some people are like, hey, I want to work another couple of years, and that's attractive to a buyer. Other people are like, I want to be done as soon as possible, and I need to move to be with my grandkids. So here we want to outline to them what the transition plan is in particular for the seller, or if there's anything that a buyer needs to be aware of.
And we use this just to give a nod to that we've got to talk about a transition. But in most cases, again, we're not explaining to a possible buyer yet, that okay, you're let's say you're sick or you're going through a divorce or whatever major life event is going on. One of the things that again what we're trying to do, and this is why we think marketing your pharmacy is really good at how you present the information, because we don't want you to look desperate. Even if a store is like, you as the owner feel like I'm washed out or I'm burnt out or I want to get out and I don't know, I'm sick. Those things are all things that are important for you as you look at exiting or transitioning. But just like selling a house, we want to take those things away and make it again for them. Here's the information. They don't need to know all the personal stuff about you. You'll probably tell them some of those personal things about how much you love it and how the time that the employee came into the store and brought you flowers when you had your first baby, and there's all these stories that kind of transition from one owner to another. But really the first thing is that we're trying to put this together so that you look like you know what you're doing, and that can give a buyer confidence that they're not going to find any sneaking, I guess, I don't know, nothing in your closet that's going to scare them, I guess, of buying your store. And when you do have things like that, we need to talk about them. Like, let's say you've had a DEA audit and you had an employee who was stealing from you, so you got written up. I mean, those are all things that happen and that can be explained, but we try to know those things ahead of time so we can explain them. And again, it's all about presenting your store as an opportunity for somebody else.
Yeah. And then we give the buyers the steps that we're expecting so that we can start having, similar to the transition, we want to start opening up the conversation of like, how are we going to get this done and when? Let's put the steps in place, because there's nothing that will kill a deal faster than time. So being on the same page about what the steps are, what both parties are going to have to do to get through, and picking a closing date.
Yeah, the thing that we're trying to do through the whole process is trying to get the closing to happen.
Yep.
And there's a rhythm and a time to it. Sometimes it gets messed up due to personal issues with a buyer or a seller or a bank. But what we're trying to do for you is kind of push people to start making decisions and conclusions so that you can actually get down the road.
And then that's it. So that's an example of a book. Everyone does get individualized to the pharmacy. So no two are going to look exactly the same, but we need to have highlight the good things about your business so that they're interested and want to, place an offer on it, and can get the information to do that. So, once and again, like Tim said, this takes some time to put together, a little bit of time. The reality is, you know, this gets you an offer that should stand up and that the buyer can move forward with, and also should get you more value for your business. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do now. Once that is done, then we actually have to market this. And again, we're not going to send this document out there. So, Tim, if you want to kind of give a high level of, okay, how do we reach potential buyers?
Well, there's the nice thing when you've been doing this for quite a while, like we have, you develop contacts in the industry that who's looking, who's a possibility that can go through your, let's say your different buying groups have let's say they're they're also trying to preserve business and grow business, so they're looking at people who are trying to acquire more stores, or a guy who's working for an independent who's looking for another store, or a chain trying to get out. Um, Wholesalers have some different buyer programs which are which aren't bad.
Yeah,
Most people who
great,
work in those with those wholesalers have been doing it for a while, so we've got a pretty good relationship with those people. And when we have something for sale, we talk to them to try to have them, again, as you know, that it's I hate to say it, but it's who like ends up like helping you. So that the nice thing I feel like we have is some good relationships with industry leaders who can help us. A lot of times it can happen from the seller themselves, like explain to me like the landscape of their area. That, okay, let's say Joe's Pharmacy down the street. I like them, but I don't want to sell to them. But then there's this bigger guy, let's say Owen's Pharmacy, who owns 3 stores. Maybe we talk to him. So there's it can't just be me looking to sell your pharmacy. I mean, I use the owner and those contacts to help me. And then traditionally, a lot of people who buy pharmacies, just look on the web to find a pharmacy for sale, and your pharmacy will be listed for sale, and it won't say that it's, let's say, your store at that location, but it'll be enough information to get a lead. And they'll again schedule an appointment with me through, basically we use a site called Calendly that you probably heard of, that schedules, calls for you. And as much as we can do to get people to talk to us about the opportunity, that's what we're trying to do. Sometimes just like real estate or whatever, I mean, there is no science that your store is going to sell in 30 days. I mean, it's
and I mean,
I can't tell you. I can basically tell you, in 60 to 90 days, we should have people looking at it that we get it, we know where the good and the bad of your pharmacy more than we did when we started. And
yeah,
hopefully we've got a good lead.
yeah. And there's several other ways. I mean, part of the reason we do these webinars is it drives up our search results. So you'd be shocked by how many people just sign up for our email list and, um, who inquire and check our website regularly for new postings. Um, we use things like there's listing things like BizQuest, and you can put them out there. Uh, we buy email lists. So anytime we have one, we blast an email list. We do hear a lot. People get nervous, like, oh, should I tell my wholesaler? Should I tell my buying group? I think you should. I mean, they have qualified buyers who are doing this all the time. And working with them can be a great way to find a really good buyer who can move quickly and have that. I mean, the banks know people looking for people to buy, the lawyers in the industry. And, part of what we're doing is we just know all these people. So we can send them listings, we can call them. Here's where the store is generally. Do you have anyone looking in that area? Can you connect them with us? And again, you're trying to find and talk to potential buyers to find the one that is a good fit and can pay the price that your pharmacy deserves. So, and there's a variety of different ways, and we have to, just like regular marketing, right? There's, McDonald's uses TV, they use email, they use an app, they use billboards. Well, we're marketing something, so we have to send it out in several different channels to market. But again, we want to do that confidentiality. So, we may say pharmacy for sale in Ohio, right? And
Yeah, or it
then,
could be,
yeah, or,
it could be Southwest Ohio.
or
We try
yeah,
to
depending
we
on the
try to
store.
help lead, but also try to protect you. Um, you know that thankfully, there's still lots of people looking at buying pharmacies.
And I'll tell you, once we got through this DIR fee thing, that the amount of people reaching out to buy is, uh, I mean, I have 10 calls in the next 2 weeks already scheduled of people who are looking to buy stores. So, I mean, it is kind of amazing. I think people know what we have now and what the future is looking, at least. So they're getting a bit more confident about moving forward with stores. So there's a lot of people
Uh,
still looking to buy.
that's something that I think I'd like to just talk briefly about is, again, as a company, we're just not a sell a pharmacy company. We do help gosh, what is it, like 150 people buy a store?
Yeah,
Is that right? I mean, and so that the people that come to us, sometimes end up buying the stores that we're listing. It can be a good thing, because we already know this person and feel some confidence with them.
correct. And we also have accounting clients. We do accounting for 130, 40 stores now, and some of them want to expand. So there's a lot of different areas that are out there, but um, you know, we're trying to put it in enough places to get leads, qualify those leads. So going back to this, as you can see, it's Southwest Ohio and it is a retail pharmacy. It's very general. We get those people to come in, we do a Calendly, we interview them, understand them, then we have them sign an NDA, then they get this info memorandum. So that's how you're keeping it confidentiality. I mean, we don't even need to, when we go to a wholesaler, again, we can tell them, hey, the store's in Southwest Ohio. Do you have anyone looking in? And a lot of times they have multi-store owners or what have you that are looking to expand and have relationships with. So that's how you keep it confidential while still marketing it. Um, and it works, and it is important. You don't want to tell your employees. You don't want the community. You don't want to lose business or lose employees because you might sell sometime in the near future. the reality is a lot of times they they the business gets purchased and these people work there another 20 years. And so it can be a good thing, and we don't want to alarm people before, and when it's not really necessary. Now, the other buyer is the chain, and chains do buy, and we would encourage you to talk to them in a lot of cases, um, and explore that as an option. There's down and goods and down. There's downsides and good sides to both, but and we can talk you through that. But they are also an option to reach out, and we have contacts there too. We know all those the the people that work there and the people that do the transactions and how they work and where they're looking. Tim's talking to them quite often. So it's a little bit of a small world. Everyone knows each other, and so we also work with other brokers. There's a lot of other brokers who have buyers or people looking to consolidate and things like that. So we have good relationships with the other brokers, and we're all talking all the time, and know each other well. So it, it it there's a lot of people out there looking, and if you present your business right, you can sell it. We did have one question actually from a potential buyer. Uh, Said, do you have a list of pharmacies for sale posted somewhere? Yes, we do on our website. Um, we have a list of pharmacies. If you sign up for our email list, anytime we get a new one, we blast it out as well. So if you want to do that, please let us know, and you can always email us at info@independent-rx, info@independent-rx.com. I'll drop our website and our email in the chat here for anyone who's looking to reach out to us. So yeah, Tim, you got any closing words?
You've got lots of opportunities when you're a pharmacy owner. You know, you may not think that your business has value, or you might think it's overvalued in terms of what your opinion is. The best advice I can give you is you gotta talk it out. You gotta talk about it. You gotta think about it. And you know, our job is to help you figure out what's the best for you. We don't tell you what's the best for you. You know, we give you guidance. And as you decide what you're going to do in your business, or buying or selling a pharmacy, I go back to this to what I tell people all the time in our consulting business, that you know, get your financials in order, do a good job of keeping your business prepared to sell, even if you're not ready to sell. If you're going to still be in this, continue to expand your business. You know, there's lots of good niches in pharmacy, point of care testing, compounding, long-term care. There's ways for you to satisfy some growth and some niche building for your business. The businesses that sell the easiest are the ones that make money, and that we're able to prove that they make money. You know, sometimes if you got a lot of business and don't make money, it's a little bit harder, which you know, running a business, you need to talk to other people. One of the things I'd say that I was very lucky about is I admitted that I didn't know everything, and I was willing to ask people who knew things about, let's say, accounting or taxes, or you know, attorneys, wholesalers. You know, talk to smart people. Like put yourself in a position to know what our industry is. Go to the trade shows. You know, I don't think you need to go to 4 a year, but you know, go to at least one, so that you can talk to other owners and idea generators. So that's my thing. Keep your business ready to sell. Prepare it. You never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. Well, thanks everyone. And if you have questions, reach out. I dropped our information into the chat here. And if you Google us, we come up. So Thank you, everyone, for taking the time. Thank you, Tim. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ellen.